Welcome to the Blue Jackets Morning Skate here on Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health. I'm Bob McElligott alongside of Jody Shelley. Had a couple of technical difficulties, so just a few minutes late today, but glad to bring you this morning skate as the Blue Jackets are getting set to take on the Washington Capitals here tonight. Two teams that got together just 2 weeks ago, and the Blue Jackets got a convincing 5-1 win in that game. But the Blue Jackets, a little bit of a different team right now, Jody. They were on a 8-game winning streak. That Washington win was part of an 8-game winning streak. Now, all of a sudden, the Blue Jackets have dropped their last three. They've got a Metropolitan Division opponent here tonight. And another situation like Carolina the other night, playing against a team that could leapfrog them if the Blue Jackets don't get a win.
Yeah, it's too bad they put themselves in this situation that they're in here this morning. You can feel it after a day off. They're quiet. They're focused. They know they have to win this game tonight. It's a situation that they're kind of disappointed. Because really, you look back to the Buffalo game, should have won that game. Worst team in the NHL, had them here at the end of looking for 9 games in a row. Let that one get away. Actually played a good game, just couldn't finish the opportunities. And then I go back to that Carolina game too, where you're up 2-0 in the third. Play a pretty good road game. Let that one squeak out. Now here you are with a 3-game losing streak, looking at the pregame skate after a day off. I tell you, yesterday would have been a grumpy day for this group. Couldn't wait to get in here. Can't wait to get on the ice tonight and just explode and take it to these Washington Capitals. But this is the situation they're in. They can right the ship here by starting tonight with a win and then looking down the road to the next few games before the break. But I tell you, this morning it's a different feel than it was 1 week ago, Bob.
Yeah, it sure is, and how quickly things change, right? And that's the way it is. It's almost on a day-to-day basis, whether you win or whether you lose. Let's take a look at the standings right now, if we can, and show you what it looks like in the Metropolitan Division with the Blue Jackets having lost these 3. Philadelphia up into the number 3 spot there. The New York Rangers coming off a win last night over the New York Islanders at Yankee Stadium, so they've got 61 points now. That's 5 better than the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets 2 behind the Philadelphia Flyers. And here you see the wild card standings at the bottom, and the Blue Jackets find themselves 1 game out of the wild card picture there, with Carolina holding that spot right now, even though they're in a points tie with Detroit.
Yeah, and you look at the New York Rangers, they're starting to create a tiny bit of separation there from the Philadelphia Flyers, Detroit, and Columbus, and Carolina, I guess, in that instance. So you really have to get back and stay in that pack. Other teams are going to have their problems, and some teams are going through it. The team that's in here tonight, they're not playing perfect hockey by any means. They're struggling a little bit. Montreal is a team that's on a little bit of a schneid. They had a few losses in a row. Carolina's hot, but you got to wait. You got to stay with the pack, because when they cool off for a bit, you're going to see yourself jump. And that's really what you look for. It's a roller coaster ride. It's tough for the fans. I know it's tough for everyone around this team, and especially tough for the players. They loved last week where they saw themselves in that wild card, looking at the teams behind them. So to get back in that situation, get back in that area, they really got to focus and stay in that pack. Of now, it's the 59 group. It looks like on the points, and just keep climbing day to day, Bob.
There you take a look at Sergei Bobrovsky in the net. Looks like he'll play against the Washington Capitals tonight. No surprise there. Curtis McElhinney went against the Ottawa Senators the other night. The Blue Jackets in that game 2 nights ago, Jody, one of the things that you said a lot early in the game is it appeared that the Blue Jackets were standing around. They were waiting for something to happen instead of going out and making something happen. They're not going to have that luxury here tonight. Well, you should never have that luxury, I guess. Go out and make it happen, but there should be more of a sense of urgency at the start of this game tonight.
Well, yeah, and I think that they were fatigued, and you hate to say that, but it does happen. Those games, though, you have to find a way to win. And Todd Richards said that at the end of his press conference. They looked tired. They never really got engaged in the game. And that's when you're tired, you don't think fast. You don't move fast. Things aren't going as quick as you want. That leads to standing around. And when you're standing around in the National Hockey League, teams tend to pick you apart a little bit. Doesn't matter who you're playing. So for this team, they got to be moving. They got to be working fast. They got to be thinking fast. And that's why they're effective against teams. The Columbus Blue Jackets can jump on teams because they have an identity. Everyone knows how everyone's going to play around them. That leads to them to be able to anticipate, jump, react, and just look like they're a lot quicker. So I would expect that tonight they'll come back with that zip that we're used to seeing here. This skate, I mean, it's an important skate. Like I said, yesterday was a day off, a day to get away, but as a player, you're just itching to get back and get on the ice and get back. 'Cause especially you look at the Rangers last night winning. You watch those things. Just the bad taste lingers, so there's only one way to get that out of your mouth. And it's not mouthwash.
No, it's not. We were looking at Ryan Johansson. Had a shot at Ryan Johansson just a moment ago. He was one of the guys in that game the other night, and I don't mean to single him out over anybody else, but there were guys that just simply didn't have good games, and it looked like he really struggled through that game. And actually, by the end of the game, I believe at the end, Mark Letestu was out there with Nick Foligno and R.J. Umberger right at the end of that game too. So Ryan Johansson, we've talked about him a lot. He's come a long way this year, but I think that's another indication of he's still a young guy. And when you talk about being fatigued, having to find a way to power through, that's still a learning curve for a guy like that right now. He's coming into his own, but he still has more to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's some teams have superstars that they can wait and rely on and look to, and they know it. They'll throw the team on their back, and they'll take the team to the win. And sometimes, this team doesn't have that superstar. Gabrick is that guy. He's not in the lineup right now. So they have to win by committee. We've spoken that a lot. Ryan Johansson will be that guy. Does he realize it? I don't think so. I don't even think he knows how good he is. He's that young. I said to him last week, I said, boy, I spoke to some defensemen from the LA Kings, and I asked him about how were the Jackets to play against. And Willie Mitchell for the Kings had said they're hard to play against. And they check a lot, and they said, boy, that Ryan Johansson is good. And I told Ryan Johansson that. He said, really? He doesn't realize, which is a nice little thing to be around, actually, because he's such a young kid. We know he's in a big role in this team, and I don't think he really realizes. I think he's just having fun, and he's doing what he's playing to the system. And when he has the puck, he's just a kid playing the game.
He is just a kid playing the game out there, and you saw his points, 38 points, so he's having a great season. But again, they are going to rely upon him a little bit more as it goes along here, because points don't lie. This guy's getting it done, and they're going to lean on him heavily as we go along here. So when you see the players today, they're dressed in the different colored jerseys here. Todd Richards, Jody mentioned yesterday, it was a day off for the team, so they're out here working on some certain things today. And we talked about this last week when we did this show, the fact that right now this team is in the midst of playing 10 games in 18 days.
Right.
So it's really about managing the time and when do you practice, when do you have an optional practice, what do you do with your morning skate, do you use it as a practice? And that's what Todd did a lot last year during the lockout when there were so many games in such a short period of time, and it looks like that's the same kind of philosophy he's going back to here in the last 2 weeks.
Well, teams that are struggling look for something, and I know when this team was struggling earlier, there was no practice time. The Flyers were in here, they were struggling. They were all saying they haven't had a practice in 10 days. It helps to have a practice. So here, Todd Coach Richards gave them a day off yesterday. He had to. Today is a day to work on things, and the first thing he worked out on was the power play breakout. Fresh sheet of ice. As soon as they got out here, the power play units, both of them, went up and down the ice against the penalty killers from behind the net, picking out the puck, managing puck through the defensive zone, managing it through the neutral zone with their little play, entering the zone. If you recall the last game, the last power play they had, they did not get over the blue line. So that was an indication of, did a little bit of rust, not focusing on your job, because on that power play breakout, you have routes to run. So yeah, the value of a practice and having time to work on those details, because really, when it comes down to it, a team that is having success is paying attention to the details. And the details are breakouts, the fundamentals. Breakouts, knowing your route as a player, passing, shooting, skating. And when you're shooting and not hitting the net, passing and not making a pass, or receiving a pass, comes back to going back and reviewing. So I think this is a little practice here today. It's always a pregame skate to shake it out and get ready for the night. But they want this to be sharp. These practices are few and far between, as you mentioned. There's not much time. So when you do get on this ice this morning, make sure your passes are on, your shots are hitting the net, and when you have to run your routes like in a power play breakout, run them right and run them fast and perfect.
Taking a look at Ryan Murray right here, and we talked about him all year long about how good he's been and how good he continues to be. And tonight he's going to have a big assignment against the Washington Capitals. It's not just Alex Ovechkin. It's a number of players. As we've talked about before, if you get focused on Alex Ovechkin and only Ovechkin, then all of a sudden somebody else is going to beat you. And so, you have to have eyes in the back of your head. But for Ryan Murray, he's going to go up against one of the world's best here tonight with Ovechkin on the ice. And it's a big challenge. But it's a challenge that he's gone through several times this year, and it's something that he's really embraced as far as going up against these best players in the world.
Well, it's remarkable because I don't know how he approaches it or what he would think about going into these situations. I I look at his demeanor, and I think he doesn't even know that he's going against them. He almost has that sense of, you know what, it doesn't really matter, which is fantastic for a young guy. That's exactly what you want. You want a guy to step on the ice every day and be consistent and be the same way. And he's that guy. He's got that tempo. He's got that demeanor. He's got that maturity that leaves you watching him and saying, "Wow, boy, that was pretty impressive." So yeah, tonight Ovechkin, Backstrom. There's Carlson is out there on D, but he's going to be worried out the forwards, and I don't think there's any situation that makes him uncomfortable. And here we have the star of the last week's show joining us again, Jeff Rimmer.
Before we get to Jeff, here's Jack Johnson. We just saw him. And, Jeff, you can talk about this. The last time these two teams played, it was almost the turning point of the game was when Jack Johnson laid out Jay Beagle right in front of the Blue Jackets net. It was that good shoulder-to-shoulder hit, knocked Jay Beagle on his backside, and all of a sudden the Blue Jackets started hitting after that, and it really turned the tide in that game.
That was a turning point of the hockey game, without question, and the Jackets need a similar type play or plays here to get going here tonight. A 3-game losing streak after an 8-game winning streak. Unacceptable here right now, and we've said this before, but this is a very, very big game for the Blue Jackets tonight.
Oh, it is, and I think, Jeff, I don't know what your sense is for practice, but we just kind of noted that quiet, a little bit disappointed with what they have going on here. You got written down quiet there too.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
As always, right? I mean, it's amazing. Three Stooges right here. I'll tell you.
All right, Curly.
It was the first thing that I noticed that this team is very, very quiet here today. Again, you go to Todd Richards, and Todd Richards says you can't judge by a morning skate, but I don't like the body language here
I don't
this
mind
morning.
it. I'll tell you why, and
Okay.
I told Bob this. They're disappointed in the way they played the last 3 games, okay? They watch the Rangers play last night, and they win. And they're sitting there thinking, boy, what have we done? We should have beat Buffalo, let that game in Carolina slide, and didn't show up last game. And now we have a day off, watch the Rangers win. They could be in a totally different mindset. Now, we're only a week out. We just spoke of this. A week really changes a lot.
Oh, and it's not even a week. I don't think it's even a week here.
No, I
since
think
it's
you're right.
changed.
I think it was last Friday that we played these guys.
If I could be a little more specific and honest here, as I always am, I'm always honest, they need a little more from some of their better players here. They need more from Nathan Horton. I think after that initial adrenaline rush, we've seen Nathan's game slip here. He needs to step it up, certainly. Ryan Johansson, who was benched in the third period, they need more from Ryan Johansson. I mean, he was going, and hey, the power play is one of the positives of the hockey club right now. Yet Johansson, who had a pile of power play points, I'd say 3-4 weeks ago, he's gone dry on the power play. And I don't know if it's a case of the fact that the coaching staff using 3 different power play units or just simply the fact he's not producing. The bottom line is they need more from those 2 players.
And they're working on the power play big time here this morning, Bob. We saw it on the breakouts. Now they're back on the power play zone time here. It's crucial. And it was something that was working, as you mentioned, Jeff, when they were winning.
And I'll tell you, this is not going to be an easy game here tonight. Washington comes in. They had a losing streak before winning their last 2 hockey games. Alexander Ovechkin, who leads the National Hockey League in goals, power play goals, shots on goal. And he was a little embarrassed with his performance last time in here.
Was he here?
Yeah, he was here. We hardly called his name, though.
Right,
Seriously,
exactly.
we hardly called his name. I suspect he'll have a better game here tonight. The Jackets have got to be ready here from the opening faceoff. 2 teams that are tied in the standings, 2 teams that obviously want to be in the postseason. They need a big, big game. Mike Green, who's had just a terrible season here, he's starting to light it up. He had the game-winning goal in overtime. Amazingly enough, he has 8 game-winning goals in overtime. He is second now in the history of the National Hockey League to a guy by the name of Scott Niedermayer.
Come on.
Wow.
13. Yeah.
Wow.
Make a note of that.
I already
Might
did.
need that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should already have it on his notes. You
I
should
already
write the
have
same things down. Anyway, but yeah, you talk about Mike Green had that game winner. Alexander Ovechkin had 4 points in that game against Buffalo the other night. He had 2 goals and 2 assists, and what's he got? 8 points in his last 6 games or something like that. So he's back to paying attention to detail and making things happen. And when you talk about the Washington Capitals and 2 teams that expect to be in the playoffs, Washington expects to be there. I mean, that's what they do. They find a way, and I think they're a team that, unlike the Blue Jackets, even though they go through some struggling times, they know how to get there at the end. They know how to turn it on. They know how to be there when it counts. And so I think the Blue Jackets are going to have to battle that tonight. This is a team that wants to be in the playoff picture by the Olympic break, not after the Olympic break.
Yeah, and you know what? Some teams, you'll look around the league, and they don't get going until their backs are completely against the wall. I think Washington is one of those teams. I don't think Columbus is. I think Columbus has, as of late, has been managing their especially with that winning streak. They've managed well. Sometimes winning streaks cover things up, though. And are we seeing that now? I hope not. Tonight is it's an important game. I don't think you can overstate it. It's one of those things that they've put themselves in this position, and I think if we go back to why you think it's quiet, I think it's that. I think these guys are disappointed in themselves this morning. By the end of practice, you'll see a little more spirit, but when you first get on the ice, you're like, let's go.
I also think you're going to see some line changes tonight.
Really?
Just watching the skate here, it may just be from the power play, but watching the practice from the initial moment after a brief meeting here at center ice prior to the start of practice, I think you might see a couple of things changed up because over the last 3 games, things have not gone well. And why not shake things up? You don't want to change things when things are going well, but just a couple of minor tweaks to the lines, why not?
And you know what, Jeff? It's interesting that he has not shown us the lines yet today. Yeah. And I mean, when I say show them, it's you usually do line rushes. He's not doing that this morning. Maybe he's taken that playoff approach here and just kind of keeping things under his vest, close to his vest, as far as lines, and that could be a good indication of line changes.
Yeah, I just kind of have a feeling we're going to see things differently. And again, it's not any inside information, because if I had it, I'd share it with you, Jody.
Yeah, I know you would.
With everything else.
I know, yeah. You're good with that.
Well, and the thing about making changes is, if you make the changes and it's not working, you can always go back to the familiar spots where you had everybody,
right, yeah.
So it's not that big a deal. We talked about the Washington Capitals and what this game is going to entail, and 2 weeks ago, the Capitals were here and the Blue Jackets won that game. Let's take a look right now at some of the guys that were big performers in that game. We talked about Jack Johnson and his big hit that he had on Jay Beagle, but some other guys had a good game against the Washington Capitals the last time that they were in here just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a real total team effort. There you see what Jack Johnson did, a couple of assists and some power play points, over 25 minutes on ice, and was a +1 in that game. And really, this guy has been playing better ever since the Olympic team announcements. Whether those things go hand in hand or not doesn't really matter right now. The fact is, since the beginning of the new year, he's been playing well.
And I still believe he'll be on the Olympic team when all is said and done. By the way, they're going to name a captain here in the next day or two. They're going to name an Olympic captain.
Oh, the Olympic captain.
USA.
Let's clarify.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, exactly. Almost a Freudian slip there.
Yes.
An Olympic captain, and certainly Jack would have been an alternate had he been on the team, or had he been on the team by now. But here's a guy that's certainly committed to USA hockey and deserves to be there. And I suspect still it could be an injury here in the next 10 days or so, and he gets a chance. I certainly hope that's the case, because he deserves it.
Well, I just hope he keeps his level high as he is right now. I mean, he's really he's been a force out there physically, which I think Jack Johnson has to be with that size and strength he has. You see almost every game he steps up and lays someone out. And it sometimes sparks the team like it did last week against Washington.
A couple of other guys that had a good game against the Washington Capitals 2 weeks ago were Cam Atkinson and James Wisniewski. And ironically, let's start with Wisniewski. And he has been getting things done on the power play here. He's still been prone to a mistake here and there. Let's be honest about it. But James Wisniewski, last time he played against Washington, he had 3 shots and he had a power play goal here. But really, this guy is such a big key to the power play, and that's why so many penalty kill units go out and try to take that shot away.
Well, when he gets that shot on goal, good things happen. And at times, and he struggled here earlier on this season with even getting the shot through, and when it got through, it was wide of the net. The Jackets need him to fire the puck. I believe that was his first power play goal of the season against Washington. You're right, still prone to some giveaways. I thought a couple of giveaways early in the game against Ottawa, but he kind of recovered, and he had a stronger game as the game wore on. But they need James Wisniewski producing. He's now tied for the most points by a defenseman in the NHL in the month of January, and it coincides with the Jackets' record for sure.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because he's not using that shot and getting those goals on the power play. He's using his head and getting the pucks past the first shot blocker to the net, or finding in a couple instances R.J. Umberger's stick on the back door, someone around the front of the net, missing the net wide, and he's getting assists just by getting the puck through. A much smarter Wisniewski, because they're going to respect that shot and try to take that away, and instead of winding up and whipping that stick back, gets the puck on his stick, and he's already got his head up. He's either making a smart pass or a good play at net.
Yeah, no question about that. And we talked about Cam Atkinson. He did have a goal and an assist against the Ottawa Senators a couple of nights ago. He, to me, remains a little bit of an enigma. I mean, some days he looks like he's so engaged and he's a big factor. In other days, he's just not a factor. And I guess that goes again with the consistency. He's still a young NHL player. There's no doubt about that. But there you see what he did against Washington last time. He was right in the middle of the play. Good things were happening for him. And again, to me, he just has to be more consistent with that.
Well, I was going to say, we've got a lot of young players on this team that have to be a little more consistent with their game, and he is certainly one of them. The third member of that line, as it is presently constituted here, barring a change tonight, Matt Calvert. The Jackets need a little more from him. He's been plagued by a couple of injuries that's cost him a number of games this season, and we haven't seen Matt Calvert the way he played for the team down the stretch. But Atkinson, Calvert, Johansson, these young players have got to be a little more consistent.
But here's my thing with Matt Calvert. I think we all lean on him and we expect so much of him, but the fact of the matter is, really, if you look at it on paper in their history, he's not the scorer that Cam Atkinson is. He brings so many other things, and you're right, he's aggressive, he hunts down the puck, he forechecks so extremely well. Cam Atkinson is really to be one of those pure scorer kind of guys, and that's what you need out of him. You need him at least getting the puck to the net and being around that net, and that's when he's most effective, obviously.
Well, you're right, but let me just go a step further here, and Jody, jump in here, and we've talked off the air about Matt Calvert. His energy means a lot to this hockey club, and just think the other night there, the Jackets came from the 2-0 deficit before losing 3-2. How about the great play Calvert made between his legs to set up Atkinson for that goal? It's that type of play, being first on the forecheck. You're nodding your head.
I'm nodding my head because you guys are right, exactly. But why you're talking about these guys is because they have a specific role in a system that they have to play in order for this team to be successful. You're talking about Matt Calvert, the energy, he needs to bring that energy, and then he gets complimented with his skill when he needs to pull it out and use it. That's the type of player he is. Cam Atkinson needs to be that hardworking energy guy too. I think that's why he feeds well off Calvert, because when Calvert's in the lineup, he's like, oh, I can do that too. Hit, bang, get the puck, separate the guy from the puck, then make a play. Not play on the perimeter, wait for the puck, hope to get a nice shot in top corner and go celebrate. Those things can't happen. You have to stay focused on the system, plug away with that, and Johansson too. You're a big guy, you've had a little success. Dial it back, think about what gave you success. Managing the puck in your own end, being a great centerman, being a reliable guy in the neutral zone, and when you get the puck, work to get the puck, work to get open, but you got to get in the dirty areas, and that's when you'll shine with your skill.
One other player that we haven't mentioned here that the Jackets certainly need producing is Nick Foligno, and it's not from a lack of trying, because you get everything from Foligno on every shift, but he's a little snake-bitten now here in the goal-scoring department. 7 or 8 games now without a goal. He's hit some crossbars and some goalposts. He's got to turn it up a notch as well.
Well, let me tell you something else. Boone, Jenner, you can go through everyone in the last game, and there's no one that's going to stand out, and you're going to be like, wow, they played really well. That last game, you just got to scrap. Let's go back to the last 10 games. Let's think about the positives here, because this group now, I love the tone. It's been quiet. They've been all business here this morning, and I like that mentality. I know I know the feeling when you walk in the room and you feel like you've let someone down, and I think I sense that here with this group. They have let someone down. They've disappointed their coach, their fans, and they're disappointed themselves.
Now, that's a player's focus, and that's coming from a guy that has played this game here at the NHL level, so obviously he knows. I also want to commend him here today, because with Washington in town, there are no connections, so no cords to cut, and he has been focused here this morning. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. I know you have a couple cords down there.
That's exactly. Yeah, if there's any cords, they're yours today.
And once again, you were here at 6:45 talking
No,
to the head coach. I know you were. What did Adam Oates have to say? Tell us.
7:30 this morning. He's focused on this game. His team hasn't played very well until here these last 2 games, and of course they needed overtime to beat Buffalo. Buffalo's playing without any pressure right now on one side, and on the flip side of that, they're playing for their future. There's a new general manager there. There's a new management group, and those players with no pressure are basically trying to show that they deserve to stay there. It's a great place to play by witness of all the players that play for the Buffalo Sabres that stay in that area. It's not one of my favorite spots to visit, but you think in terms of all those great Buffalo Sabres that have retired in the Western New York area, and a lot of the guys that are on that hockey club, despite the team's problems, they want to remain there. Oh, one more point here on a positive. David Savard, just watching him there at the blue line here. I talked to David yesterday, bumped into him in the movie theater. What do the guys do on a day off? What do we do on a day off? Well, some of us. I had popcorn, and it was free, too. AMC Theater sent me a free popcorn, and, yeah, I collected on that.
If you go to 17 movies, you get a free popcorn, right?
Well, not only that, but I had lunch. I went to the Easton Theaters, and they've got those theaters now where you can have lunch.
Or did you get to get one handful for free?
No, I got a small popcorn, and then I had lunch. If you really want to know.
Bowl of soup?
No, it wasn't bowl of soup. I had a burger, and it was great, and Diet Pepsi.
All right. We're getting
fine.
a little off track here.
Yes.
Well, no, I'm just kind of telling you about my day. But anyway, David Savard was there, and he said he's feeling much better, so I suspect after missing 3 games, he'll be in the lineup tonight.
Well, Coach just skated by him there and gave him a brief little nod and said something. I think that's the confirmation that you're ready to go tonight, that type of thing. So, interesting tone on this practice. I like it.
Did you ever think that we'd be kind of concerned that David Savard wasn't in the lineup? That's a testament to just how much he has improved as a hockey player this year.
I'll tell you.
Isn't that something?
At the draft last year, or even in August, even in September, nobody thought that we would be having that conversation about David Savard. That is a testament to him, and what a great job he's done this year. And he and Tyutin, they have really meshed well together here.
Although, watching them skate today, Savard was with Tyutin.
Yeah.
Savard was with Tyutin today. The defensive pairings were switched up, at least for part of practice today.
I would think, and Jody, you tell me if I'm wrong on this, I would think if I were a defenseman and they came to me and said, hey, you're going to play with Fedor Tyutin, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. Because playing with Fedor Tyutin, you know what you're going to get out of Fedor Tyutin, and that's going to be steady, solid, always there all the time.
Yeah, no, that's he's a veteran guy, and he's you can come to the Nationwide Arena and watch him play and maybe not see him every night, but what he does in the defensive zone, how he uses his head very well, and that's what I mean, thinking the game and positionally, and he brings as a young guy, you need someone to look up to, and he's that guy.
Bob Borofsky has just left the net after taking several shots, so he's our starter tonight. And hey, while we're talking about players that've got to step up their game, the goaltender's got to step it up here too. His 2 recent performances, I thought McElligott played well the other night. Certainly, I don't give McElligott any of the blame for the loss, but the Jackets need Bobrovsky showing us a little bit earlier what he showed us on the street, right?
Yes,
absolutely, no question about that. And they rely upon him so heavily. I think if you go back to the Buffalo game, and he has some early struggles, and all of a sudden everybody's going, what are we going to do now? Head coach Todd Richards has left the ice. He's going to join us right now. We'll talk about this game tonight. First of all, Todd, it's Bob McElligott, Jeff Rimmer, and Jody Shelley with you right now.
He says he doesn't have audio in his phone.
Oh, he doesn't have any audio in there, so we'll see if we can get that fixed. But in it. Oh, okay. Is you ready now, Todd? Are you there?
Can you hear us?
Todd, can you hear us? Apparently not.
Okay.
So,
we'll get him next time.
Yeah. We'll try.
Tell him thanks. We'll get him later.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I got him.
You can hear us now? You can hear?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Todd, we can hear you now. There. We got it. Thank you. First of all, any changes that you plan on making to your lineup here tonight?
The only change is Corey Trop will go back into the lineup for Blake Como.
Anything in the way of line changes tonight, or are you still going to stick with what has been working for you the last couple of weeks?
We'll probably make a couple changes here, some subtle changes. We'll move Johansson with Boone Jenner and Nathan Horton, and then we'll move Artie up with Foligno and Umberger.
Todd, you guys had a day off yesterday. I know you probably didn't. I'm not sure how that works, but the players did, and to get away and watch the Rangers win last night, I know there's urgency every day, but when you step on the ice with this group this morning and the tone, it feels back to business. Do you like? I know you don't put a lot in pregame skate, but do you like the tone here this morning?
You know what? It'll be interesting to see what we get tonight. Sometimes this team's been tough to read. Hopefully we'll come out. I think we understand the importance of the game and the importance of the rest of these games coming down the stretch. So every time we've kind of find ourselves in a bit of a rut here, especially of late, maybe the last 30 games or so, the guys have found a way, to find a character win, and we're going to need a character win tonight.
Coach David Savard, does he come back in the lineup tonight?
He does not. He will not be playing. He's still recovering, still trying to get his strength back.
All right.
Is that frustrating for you? I mean, would you like to have him back in there right now, or are you happy with the way Cody Golubev has performed since he's come up?
Well, Cody's come in and done a good job for us. But the role isn't the same as what David Savard had. David was playing probably more minutes and playing a little bit tougher minutes, and that's just a trust factor with David. I think what he's through his game and what he's earned in Craig Hartsburg, and just trusting him. So he's come in, he's played some big, heavy minutes for us, and you do miss that because he has chewed up some valuable time.
Just one more thing for you. Talking about Washington, they're feeling pretty good about themselves coming in here after a win in Buffalo. We always talk about Alex Ovechkin and how you can't focus on just him because somebody else will hurt you, but this guy's coming off a 4-point game. Do you expect him to be a little bit more visible maybe tonight than he was here 2 weeks ago?
Well, I think it all depends on how we check and our commitment to checking. If we aren't committed in that area, if we're loose with pucks and pucks decisions, he's going to be a pretty visible player tonight. But if we come out and do the right things, I think as a group and a group of 5 out on the ice, you can limit him. You aren't going to shut him down completely. He had a couple opportunities last game here, and Bob was equal to the task. And another big factor there too is you can't give these guys 4 or 5 power plays. You give them 4 or 5 power plays, again, he's going to be a factor in the game.
Todd, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks,
all right, guys.
Head coach Todd Richards with us here this morning on the Blue Jackets Morning Skate. So, yes, Jeff, as you speculated, some changes in the lines tonight.
Well, I kind of like the changes, too. Ryan Johansson, we all know, has got some great hands to pass the puck. They've got to get, as we talked earlier, those 2 guys going, and now he's going to play with Nathan Horton.
How do you know that?
Horton. How did I know that? It was just something I thought. Honest to God.
You just, yeah?
Yeah, I just thought that.
That's pretty good, Jeff. 7:30, huh?
7:30 this morning.
I have some things I want you to think about if they're going to happen, okay?
But Savard is not in, and I thought that little conversation was done, but it was quickly David, and I'm glad you asked that question.
I'm not perfect.
But that's good you asked that question.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on.
That's how you get information, huh?
You talk
exactly.
about, so if Johansson's playing with Nathan Horton tonight, I think that, you talk about both of those guys needing to get going, but the future of this organization, don't you think that's what the future of this organization looks like right there?
Again, frankly, and I'm speaking for myself here now, I was waiting for Johansson to play with Horton because he's got such great hands. He can dish the puck, and Horton's a goal scorer.
Do you think Horton was waiting for that? Maybe in a slump.
Maybe, but I also like the fact that Jenner's playing that left wing.
How do you know he's going to be there?
Because I just listened to the coach, and he talked about his subtle changes. So
you already got the lines out of that?
I got the lines.
Who are you?
Hey.
That is pretty good.
Veteran
I got to hang out with you more. Because all I heard is that there will be subtle changes.
Yeah, well, hey.
And you've already got the lines.
I got the lines.
So you think Jenner with Johansson and Horton?
Yeah, and then Foligno will be with Anisimov and Umberger.
All right, let's go down to the dressing room right now. I believe we're standing by with Nathan Horton down there.
That's pretty good, Jeff.
Your development back. I mean, what is it, 12 games maybe at the most that you've been back? Do you feel like you're getting back into where you want to be?
Well, again, I'm working hard. I'm trying. It's not easy, but I'm just whenever coach puts me out there, I try to, whether I'm doing, just try to move my feet. I think that's the big thing. I need to, just concentrate on that, and everything else will fall into place.
We are still learning your game a little bit. Are you the kind of guy who wants to take the team on your shoulder? Have you ever been that kind of player?
Well, again, it's a tough year. I mean, it's not easy being out this long, but it's. I think it's just. I think that's the way everyone should feel. They want to help the team as much as they can and contribute in any way. And that's why we were winning 8 games in a row. And hopefully we can get back on track by doing that.
You're gonna have a new centerman in this game. How do you feel about playing with Ryan? What do you bring?
Well, Ryan's a special player. He's he's a guy I'm looking forward to playing with. He's a smart player. He does everything out there. So obviously anybody would like to play with him.
Thanks, Horton.
So that is Nathan Horton talking about this game here tonight against the Washington Capitals, and here you heard him talk about getting back and getting into it. And Jeff, you said it too. You said there was that initial burst of energy when you first come back, and then you do hit that lull.
Can I be honest with you guys here?
No.
I'm using that word honest again. I think I know Nathan better than anybody else in this organization.
No question.
There is a very, very upset kid with the way he's playing right now.
Okay.
Just judging by that interview.
I think he's upset with that question. I think he's sick of answering that question.
No, I don't think he's sick of answering the question. He's only played 14 games.
They've only asked him that question every day.
But the fact of the matter is, I see a little frustration in Nathan here with the way things are going.
He wants to win. He's a winner.
He's a winner and wants to win. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
that's good.
Yep.
I like that. That's a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. Was that a clever question by Mitchell? Did he know the lineup, or did he say, you got a new centerman today, Johansson?
Well, if you watched the early part of the skate, they did skate together.
But wasn't that a power play breakout?
It was a power play breakout, and it wasn't exactly because Anisimov was on the left wing on that power play breakout. So it was Anisimov, it was Johansson, and then Horton on the right.
Well, let's hear what Ryan Johansson has to say. He's downstairs in the dressing room right now. Let's go down there.
We're dealing with reporters.
Well, he's an athletic director, like the man, though, right?
Yeah, but it should be part of this deal anyway, not a bonus.
Right.
I'm ready whenever you are. All right.
It's a nice bonus.
What's the feeling in the room after losing 3? Is there urgency? Is there panic? Is there got to put the brakes on it? Describe it for me.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of desperation now, and it's a slippery slope, which a couple of guys have said in the room, and we got to make sure we're staying focused. And it could turn out tonight they score the first goal early in the game or something like that, and we just got to make sure we stay focused and really we just gotta stay with our game and know what we can do and do our job. And if we do that, we'll be successful. And so I'm very confident in our group and how we're going to play tonight and the upcoming games before the Olympic break here.
Ryan, you're the leading scorer on this team. How much do you feel it's almost not your obligation, but how much do you feel the obligation, I'll just use the word, to take this on yourself?
Yeah, definitely. On a personal standpoint, I want to make sure I'm playing my best hockey right now, and it's a huge time of the year for our hockey club, and everybody really needs to step up their game right now, and so I'm going to control what I can control, and that's myself and my work, and make sure I'm ready to go for tonight.
Have you been that kind of player? Are you comfortable with the load the team up on my shoulders kind of thing and go?
Well, I think we have a deep team here, and I don't need to do that necessarily. I just need to focus on playing my game and playing a smart two-way hockey game. And if I do that, those scoring chances will come for myself and my line mates, and things will take care of itself. So I'm not worried about that at all. We got a lot of great hockey players in here who will make some great plays for our team, and everybody's just got to be on the same page tonight.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan, your thoughts on playing with 2 new line mates for this game?
Yeah, it's going to be different. I mean, I've played with Fliggs and Umby for a long time now, but get to play with 2 other great hockey players. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. It'll be a little change, but hopefully we can get some chemistry going right away, and we'll see where it goes.
Does the way they play change the way you play?
Only in a couple areas in the game, penalty kill and power play and things like that. But we want to play our game and stick to what our game plan is, and not be too worried about what's going on the other side there. Just going out and doing our job, and so really everybody's just got to, in our rooms, got to do what they do best out there on the ice and execute.
Ryan Johansson talking about the line mates that he'll have here tonight and changing things up. And as he said, he's played with Nick Foligno and R.J. Umberger for a long time. And there is a comfort factor there. But, Jody, as you've been pointing to throughout the morning, sometimes you have to change that comfort factor. When things aren't going well, you got to get out of your comfort zone.
Well, and I think that adds a little excitement for all 3 guys. Ryan Johansson has had a lot of success, and he's a fun guy to be around as far as on the ice. Nathan Horton is a guy who's excited to be back in the lineup. Team's not playing well. Like Jeff said, he wants to win. But guess what? Maybe those 2 guys will get each other going.
Well, again, and not to in any way, shape, or form put any blame on R.J. Umberger for the team's 3 losses, but one thing Johansson does with those soft hands is set Umberger up, and for whatever reason, Umberger not able to finish. And I think that tonight, I'm hoping And I think the coaching staff were putting them together, hoping that Johansson can similarly set up Horton and he can find the back of the net.
You know what I'm going to say.
It should
right?
be exciting.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm going to say.
Go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to take a rope and I'm going to tie it on your belt loop and I'm going to tie it to the chair or the doorknob because when Nathan Horton scores, Jody, I think this guy's going to fly out of the booth. He flies straight out of his chair. Yep.
I fly out of the booth when everybody scores. Why do you say Nathan Horton?
I don't know, because I like to pick on you about Nathan Horton.
That's fine.
But
you guys are good buddies. You guys are like family. It's fine. We love it.
Well, obviously we want to see Nathan do well, but we want to see the Blue Jackets do well as
it's great inside material.
And those
I love
two things go hand in hand. I don't think there's any question about that. Hopefully we're going to talk to Ryan Murray when he comes off the ice here on the headsets. And
he won't be off for another 20 minutes. He's out there. He's a young guy that just stays out there. And I know what that feeling.
I talked to him in Carolina, and I said, Ryan, whatever you're doing, just keep it going. And the kid turns and smiles, and he says, I'm going to try.
He's awesome.
I mean,
And just before you came on, we talked about him against Ovechkin, and it's like, the best player in the world, the leading scorer, the leading points or whatever, most goals in the league. His demeanor, I said to Bob, it's like, does he even know he's playing against him? It's great.
He focuses, and it doesn't matter. It's straight ahead for him. It doesn't matter if it's Ovechkin or a fourth-line guy on the Carolina Hurricanes. He's going to play the same way. And isn't it great? You see Jenner, and you see Ryan Murray. You see Nikitin, whose game has really stepped up even prior to being named to the Russian Olympic team. It's Golubov. It's the young guys that are out here that are trying to do the best that they can and improve their skills.
Golubov, Eriksson.
I agree. And you know what I like about guys like Ryan Murray and Boone Jenner being out there right now? Because that's exactly where they should be.
Yeah.
But there you do come across young guys that occasionally do come off the ice. I was kind of teasing Boone Jenner the other day because he went out in an optional skate and then he was out there so long. I said, man, you didn't decide to take the day off today? And he just, he's not going to give anything up. He's like, no, not at all. I said, well, maybe someday. But again, that's where they belong as first-year players. And these guys get that. They understand that, and they know that they need to be out there working on things.
And you know what else? I think they love it. I think they don't want to get off the ice. And that's the way I was until the day I stopped playing. I loved it. I love pregame skate. I love being on the ice. They're just flipping around saucer passes here, just fooling around. It's a great feeling.
I've used a lot of names to describe Jody Shelley. One that I've never used, though, is rink rat.
Really?
But, yeah.
You're the rink rat, 7:30 this morning.
Well, but that's every morning.
Maybe you should talk to the guys down there. No, don't put the skates on. Talk to the guy in the Zamboni tunnel. Maybe you can, help do the ice or, I don't know, get the pucks cold and fill the water bottles.
No, I'm busy talking to people.
You're here that early.
I am. I'm talking to people. I'm doing my notes and final thoughts here and putting the lines together to hand the coach, that kind of thing.
Well, apparently you handed it to all the media types.
I did. Well, hey, they're sitting right in front of you. They heard what was going on and then went downstairs.
Heard where?
Heard right
I'm
here.
I'm still amazed that, I watched power play breakouts. I didn't see them doing line rushes.
Okay. Well, they didn't.
Maybe you got to show me what to look for. I think you learned something at 7:30 this morning.
My next life, I'm coming back as a general manager. How's that?
Well, you still got time for that.
No. Only John Davidson can move from the broadcast booth to the president of a hockey team.
Well, you didn't say president.
I said general manager.
Yeah, that's a good
I want to be the guy making the trade.
Oh, yeah. What trade would you make right now for the Blue Jackets?
Oh, boy.
You wouldn't make one.
Right on the hot seat.
You put me on the hot seat.
Would you make one now?
Well, the trading deadline is approaching, March the 5th. I want to see where we are on 3rd, 4th, 5th. I mean, what's going to happen here with Marian Gaborik? If Gaborik comes back and is effective, that's like making a trade.
That's right. That's a good point.
Okay. If he doesn't come back before the Olympic break, and I would think right now he's on the outside looking in even to play for Team Slovakia in the Olympic Games. He's having another MRI next week. He's out skating. Oh, by the way, he was on the ice this morning here early. Okay?
While we're talking, get a shot of these guys picking up the pucks. This is great down here.
Yeah. But anyway,
the rookies picking up the pucks after practice.
Back to Gaborik. I know some people are speculating, mostly the newspapers and and around the league, they're speculating the Jackets could trade him before the deadline. If he doesn't play, does that become a bit of a hindrance to making a move if that's the way the Blue Jackets want to go? On the flip side, you've got a potential, we use the word superstar, we overuse that word, but here's a guy, if he comes back after the Olympic break and he's part of the Columbus Blue Jackets, he can certainly help this hockey club down the stretch, hopefully get that playoff spot, clinch that playoff spot, because you're not making a trade, you're keeping a player that's part of you.
That's a very good point.
Back.
I like that point, and it is a nice feeling. I forget who had that a couple years ago. Was it Bergeron came back for Boston?
Right.
It was late, and it's just one of those things. It's like, wow, we forgot about this guy.
Yeah, and he comes back, and hopefully an effective player, and I'll give you another reason why he will be, and that is he doesn't have a contract after this year.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got a lot to prove.
And I've talked to Gabrick, and he loves Columbus. And he likes this group of guys in the dressing room. Obviously, the salary will be cost prohibitive, perhaps. But hey, maybe to stay here, it's a hometown discount. And he remains a Columbus Blue Jacket.
It's interesting. It's a lot of different scenarios and factors into that whole play. But that's an interesting storyline right here, the Gabrick thing. Yeah. And another guy we don't talk about enough is Jared Boll.
Yeah,
I think we miss Jared Boll in this lineup more than it's understated. He's a guy that's going to be on the shelf for a while. Who knows when he can get back in the lineup? But his presence for the last 3 games would have been impactful for this team.
He's ahead of schedule, and that's the good thing. Right. He's ahead of schedule, and I know they thought maybe sometime in April, hey, if we can push the envelope up and he can play, that'd be great to see.
You look at that last game against the last game here against Ottawa.
Right. Chris Neal basically
did whatever he wanted.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And a little, even if it's a bump or a hit, Jared gets out there and hits and causes and takes a shot in the face. Energy in the building. And I think the only energy came from the power play, which is a source of energy. But when you're flat like that, it really stood out to me that they were missing Jared Boll a lot. And I think maybe not that 8-game winning streak. Who can you say they missed? But he's a good guy in their room. He's a leader. He's the longest-serving Blue Jacket. And he's tough.
You're right.
Yeah, I like
they
that.
do miss him.
Let's take a look. I think we have a look at the games that are coming up leading into the Olympic break here. And, I know we're doing this one game at a time deal, but the fact of the matter is there are some big games leading up to the Olympic break. There's tonight's game against the Caps. 2 days from now, the Blue Jackets will take on the Florida Panthers here as you take a look at it. And then these 3 daunting games in California. Anaheim Ducks, they're fantastic overall. They're even better at home. The LA Kings at home, always a tough one. And then the San Jose Sharks. You know what it's like to go into the Shark Tank. So
I love it. What a challenge.
That's a great challenge for this team.
It is great, and it's exactly what they need. I think it's great. And if this can play out starting tonight, okay? Start tonight, obviously. Beat Washington. You got Florida then, and then you go on that road trip. I think that is there's something that makes you pay a little more attention to detail when you go into, obviously, San Jose. I mean, that building is ridiculous. Anaheim with the streaker on, and L.A., the Blue Jackets handed them a loss last time they were here. So that sets up to a major run before a major break for most of this team. And then a final push after the break for the playoffs.
Anaheim lost at home for only the 2nd time in regulation the other night. They have had just a phenomenal season, and in my opinion, the best team in the league right now, although the San Jose Sharks are not too far behind. Los Angeles, I hear talking to people around the league, LA's looking to make a move.
They can't score.
Yeah. They want to pick up another proven goal scorer as they did with the Blue Jackets trade, getting Jeff Carter in the trade that saw Jack Johnson come.
A lot of Olympians on those teams too. So here's what they're going to be thinking about that break. Go in there and just slide in, slide out, take the 2 points, and move down up the coast. I guess it is.
I think Jason Chimera, the former Blue Jacket, now with the Capitals, he had a great quote yesterday or earlier this week, whenever it was. He said, "When you get to the Olympic break, you want to be looking down at the other team in the standings. You don't want to be that team that's looking up, trying to figure out where you have to be coming out of that break, because that's going to make for a lot longer break."
More importantly, I think going into the break, your game needs to be on. You have to be playing great hockey. And I think everyone needs to feel really good going into the break. Don't go into the break thinking like they take the Ottawa game. Don't go into the break feeling like they did. Power play is terrible. Can't hit the net. We can't score. Guys are flat. We're out of shape. Whatever they're thinking. Who knows what they're thinking. Go into the break feeling great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's 3 weeks. You're going to sit around for almost 3 weeks having to think of those things.
How about Savard down here working with Dan Highnote? Dan Highnote's taking the hits. But that's Savard. That's the hard part of getting back in shape, is pushing on a body like that. You look, see how tired Savard is there. And see how tired Dan Highnote is there. That's even better.
You know what's
is it his birthday today?
Highnote's birthday?
I don't know. I had to check. I think it is.
You know what's going to be the discussion, and it'll be NHL-wide when we come out of the Olympic break, if we can just look ahead, and that is of all the teams like the St. Louis Blues, like the Pittsburgh Penguins, that have so many Olympians gone away from their hockey club.
They have about 10?
Yeah.
Some 7 to 10 in that area?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's going to have a major factor, perhaps, of a negative on those teams, because it's, number one, getting back and thinking in terms of the National Hockey League. Maybe there's a high of winning a gold medal on some of those players. Maybe there's a disappointment, a low of being knocked out early. I mean, there are going to be all kinds of different variables there, an injury or injuries. It's going to be rather interesting to see what develops.
I think you're thinking like a GM when you talk like that. Maybe you're on something here.
Well, I'm just thinking of storylines that obviously are going to be important to us as Blue Jacket broadcasters after.
Yes, it is Dan Hinote's birthday today.
Boy, how did you know that?
Well, I just,
I'm impressed.
I know your birthday, too.
Oh, yeah? When?
No, when is it? April?
No. You'll never guess.
And by the way, 365 guesses, I will.
I don't count birthdays anymore. By the way.
Hey, you were talking about those teams with a lot of players coming out of the Olympic break. Let's bring that closer to home here. The Blue Jackets are going to have 4 guys.
All on the
Russian team. And obviously there are huge expectations for those guys playing in their home country. So, and you're talking about the travel and everything they're going to have to do for a couple of weeks, and one of those happens to be your starting goaltender.
Right. Yeah, that's a valid point, Bob. That's something that you definitely have to watch with a little apprehension, because you don't want to see Sergei go down with an injury and then come back here. And this team relies on him so much. But you look at all the teams in the league, everyone in the team has someone valuable. There's not a lot of guys that are fourth-line guys on any team going to the NHL, or replaceable guys.
Important factor here, though, on Bobrovsky. Varlamov, the Colorado goaltender, and Bobrovsky are going to fight it out for the number 1 job. I'm hoping that Bobrovsky is that guy, but what if he's not? And Varlamov is that starting goaltender. Again, you get back into a guy's head. How does he feel about that? Yeah. I mean, there are just so many variables.
Hopefully he just approaches it like, hey, I'm not resting for the break. I am kind of resting, but I'm not. I'm staying sharp. I'm practicing. And who's their GM?
Like a player.
Is it
if I'm a GM, you're a player.
Is it Tretiak over there, the goalie?
Yeah. Tretiak's there. He's
well,
the
there
GM.
you go. I mean, what a great spot for Sergei to be, around Tretiak.
Yeah.
And I think his former goalie coach is over there, too, Sergei's, with the from Russia.
Oh, really? What's his name?
Something. I think it's Rimerov. Bobarov, Rimerov.
That's a good point that you make, Jeff. Let's say he doesn't win that starting job and Varlamov gets it, and you talk about the psyche, then there's one of two ways that you go. You either come back feeling bad about yourself, or you come back and say, okay, you didn't think I was good enough to play in the Olympics? Well, doggone it, I'm going to show you how good I am. Which I would think, knowing Sergei Bobrovsky the way I do.
Well, he's going to be,
and he'll use it as motivation either way.
And he gets his, he'll still get a silver medal in the final game to Canada, so that'll be a good thing.
Oh, listen to Jody.
Yeah.
You think Canada's a favorite going in?
For me, yeah. Canadian. Where are you from?
Well,
he's
I was
from
born
everywhere.
I am. I'm a U.S. citizen, proud of it. I was born in Canada, but I tell you what, I think the Russians are the favorites going to the Olympics. Although Canada's
the big
got a great
ice.
team. You know what? It doesn't bother me, but my concern about Canada, goaltending.
What about Team USA?
I think the Europeans have much better goaltending, and the U.S. have better goaltending than
I
what
think
Canada
it's just
has.
a great story. Well, goaltending story.
Well, last night, did you watch a Rangers game last night?
I did.
In between periods 2 and 3, they did a big Olympic feature, and they only talked about Canada and the U.S., which did surprise me.
Yeah.
They didn't even talk
the
about
other
the Russian
teams
team.
love that. How about Sweden? They're stacked.
They didn't even talk about them.
Sweden is stacked. Finland
Lundqvist is
good.
playing in the game. They didn't even talk about it.
I'm telling you
USA
right now. I'm telling you right now. The situation here, it's going to come down to goaltending, as the Stanley Cup playoffs do, and the team with the best goaltender that performs in the Olympics will be the gold medal winner.
Oh, there was the little asterisk right there.
What?
The best goaltender that performs. But that's good. You're right, because look at Lundqvist right now. I mean, he had struggled for weeks. Now he's coming on. And, if he gets hot.
He's hitting his peak at the right time.
Yeah. Exactly. Listen. You can start fast out of the gate and have a lull in the season. It evens out. And for New York, they started slow, and Lundqvist was watching Talbot play.
Another topic here. Isn't it amazing to watch teams around the National Hockey League go on winning streaks, and it may not be of the duration that Blue Jackets and Anaheim did, and then go kind of in the tank for a while?
It happens.
Philadelphia.
It's going to happen. It's just how it is. They call it's parity. You want to use that everyone's favorite word? It's
Thank
parity.
you, Mr. Bettman.
And I don't know. It's tough to win in this league, and if you can string some together, you're obviously doing yourself a favor. But you got to minimize the lulls, manage the lulls, and the Blue Jackets have a chance to do that tonight.
Yeah, and I think they have to do it tonight. I think if you lose this one tonight, would you guys agree? If you lose this one tonight, then if you think there's any kind of panic here this morning, there's double the panic, if not triple.
I don't even want to think about that.
I'm going to tell you something. When I was in New York, and I told you this the other night, Bob, we had 10 games left in the season. We lost to the Boston Bruins, and it was one of those dogfights to the end. It was Boston, Montreal, New York, and Philly battling for 8th. Well, we lost against Boston. With 11 games left in the season. Now there's 10 games left to go to the practice rink, and I have lunch with Mark Messier in the cafeteria. And he looks at me and goes, boy, everyone's down. I said, yeah. Tough loss. He said, well, there's an 1/8 of a season left. And I'm thinking, yeah. It came down to a shootout in Philadelphia. We lost to Philadelphia. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They squeaked in. But my point is no one grabbed it. So it's tough on a day-to-day basis, but you have to manage your game, and I like that the Blue Jackets have an identity, that when they play it, they have a great chance to win. There's no one they play against that they think, I hope we win tonight. That's gone. So it's a good thing here.
And this came from a baseball guy, and you, with your baseball background. Duke Snider, the Hall of Fame former Brooklyn Dodger, he was working for the Montreal Expos when I was there, and he said you've got to keep the highs and lows to a minimum, and that's how you win.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Jody was just saying.
Yep.
All right, we're with Ryan Murray, who's joining us right now downstairs. And Ryan, first, thanks for doing this. What was the mood? We were talking about, we're trying to observe what the mood was like out there today. From up here, it looked very businesslike. How was it on the ice today?
Yeah, I mean, we know that we've lost 3 in a row, so there's not a lot of screwing around. We definitely know we got to win this one. It's a must-win game for us, and so we're serious, trying to keep it a little loose at the same time, but it's definitely serious.
Hey Ryan, a couple quick questions here. How's that chin? Looks like you had a little gash there.
Yeah, it's good. It's all right.
You going to battle through it?
Yeah.
Attaboy. Hey, how was your day off yesterday? Tough loss. I mean, a tough stretch. You go into a day off. Kind of bother you throughout the day, or were you able to get away from it?
I think it's good to get away from the rink sometimes, just, get a break. We've had such a busy schedule lately, so it's nice to get a little break.
What's your game day approach, Ryan? You have a situation here tonight with the National Hockey League's leading goal scorer and leading shot taker in the National Hockey League, and Alexander Ovechkin. Is that something you focus on here today?
I think it's something you have to focus on. Definitely on their power play. They got a good power play, and he's kind of the key guy sitting on the back door, so something that we got to watch there. You just got to know when he's on the ice. He's a huge part to their team and a huge part of their goal scoring. So somebody you always got to be aware of.
Now we look at the game notes from top to bottom. Do you look at that front page there and look at the roster before a game?
Sometimes. I mean, we got it stapled up in our dressing room, so we know who's in the lineup. But I try not to look too much into it.
This is why we're asking you the question, because we've been talking while you were on the ice today, and we have really been praising you in the fact that you're going up against some of the best players in the world, and it's as though it doesn't even matter to you. You just go out there and approach every game the same way. Now, be honest with us. Is there ever a little bit of nerves underneath the surface for you when you face guys like Alexander Ovechkin?
There was a little bit early, but not so much anymore. Earlier in the season, there'd be times where I was always extra cautious, but I think you kind of got to play everybody the same way. You gotta respect every player out there, and but at the same time, you can't give them too much time. You can't give them too much respect. So yeah, there's kind of limitations to that.
I got to tell you, when I started my career out in Western Canada, all right, I was told by our sports director, it's not bad, Ryan, to have a little apprehension going into a game. It means that you're focused. Is that a fair comment as a hockey player?
Yeah, I guess so. I try and stay mostly as calm as possible, and you definitely want to know who's on the other side. And whenever you're playing against stars like Ovechkin, you always got to be a little bit careful when he's on the ice and always know where he is. But I wouldn't say there's too many nerves going on.
Attaboy. Hey, listen, I was watching you do your shootout move out there. Any chance you're going to get in there if the shootout breaks out tonight?
Maybe if it goes to round 20, but that's about it.
I know that feeling.
We want to win this one in regulation.
Yeah,
we don't want to let those guys get a point, right? We want to take the 2.
Hey, when we do this, it's to give people an inside look at the morning skate and what goes on. And obviously, you just came off the ice, and you and Boone Jenner, Cody Golubev, Nikita Nikitin, you guys were out there for a long time with Curtis McElhaney. What is your mindset in a morning skate and in that extra time that you stay out there? Are you actually working on more things, or as Jody said, you guys might just love being out there and you're having a good time? What's your mindset in the morning skate?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to just kind of get out there and cruise around, and we have the drills to start with, so a lot of structure there, and it's nice afterwards to kind of just screw around with the guys and pass pucks, toss pucks around, and shoot on the goalies, do whatever you want. We can do shootout moves at the end like that. It's just nice to kind of get some freedom afterwards.
And then you got to wait to pick the pucks up. I noticed that.
That's right.
The only bad thing about those shootout moves is Todd Richards is long gone from the ice. He doesn't even get to see you.
Yeah, you guys better turn the cameras on.
Yeah, we had them on you. We got you covered.
I'll leave you with this little laugh for you. I interviewed Dennis Potvin the other night on Fox Sports Ohio, and he's, of course, a Hall of Fame defenseman, one of the best defensemen ever to play in the National Hockey League, and he loves you as a player, but he's disappointed you're not wearing number 5, his old number in the NHL.
Well, that's pretty good.
Hey, you know what, Ryan? 7 minus 2 is 5, so close
exactly,
enough.
Exactly.
Right? That'll work, right?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for doing this for us this morning. We appreciate it. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
See you, Ryan.
Ryan Murray, and there's, I love when we get to talk to him like that, and you get to see a little bit of that personality because he's always so serious on the ice. That's his job, and it's good to see what a real good kid
is. He serious though? Because I mean, that interview right there, you're looking at him, you're like, do you get nervous? No, he does. I don't know if has he ever been nervous? I love his demeanor, and he plays that way. He plays like the game is just happening. I'm just out here playing, and this is fun. And
plays like number 27, the number on his back.
You're right.
Scott Niedermayer.
And you know him well, too.
Yeah, I do.
And that's a guy that he watched growing up. That's a guy he wants to model his game after.
The guy, Jody's big on sticks and had that great story on Martin St. Louis earlier on this season, but he came across a Niedermayer stick, and I got this right from the stick manufacturer. He came across a Niedermayer stick for some reason while he was in Everett and took it from the trainer and started using it and never gave it up. His first year in the National Hockey League last year, and of course it was somewhat abbreviated by the injury, but he asked for the Niedermayer pattern to be made, not with his name. He's the first player in the National Hockey League that wanted Niedermayer's name on the sticks. And this year, he has his name on the Scott Niedermayer sticks.
But it's interesting. The sticker still comes Niedermayer pattern. It's not a Murray pattern. So if you make a Rimmer pattern and you give it to them, they'll make it, and the sticker will come on top for them to know on their code, Murray pattern left. Well, it comes in as Niedermayer left, Murray on the stick.
Interesting.
He likes to see that on the stick.
I want a Shelley stick.
I got a bunch of them.
Speaking of that, as we get ready to wrap up, what was the first number that Ryan Murray wore as a member of the Blue Jackets? Do you remember?
I have no
idea. Came to camp?
I know, because I saw one for sale up there.
Was it 5?
And I said, who's that guy?
It had a 5 in it.
55?
45.
45.
Yeah, they gave
Shelley.
45
Somebody
camp.
made that famous here.
Yeah.
Who was that? I got to think about that one for a while.
Go look it up.
45.
I'll have to work on the lines
the
here.
Offensive defenseman.
Offensive defenseman. No, I think he was a right. No, it was a left winger. And
straight hair,
the
curly
player's
teeth.
Retired now. Hi, it was Jody Shelley. Had to think
and that
about
Murray
that.
jersey's for sale up there, 45.
45 could be. You should buy it.
I should buy it.
Yeah.
There's
Get him
still
to
a
sign
number of 45
look at that
jerseys
guy.
with the
He's
name
losing his
Shelley on them
marbles.
in the arena. I suspect we'll find 5 or 10 here tonight.
All right.
At
Well,
least.
I handed out 5
At least.
yesterday. So.
As you can see, everybody is gone here from the morning skate, so that's going to do it for our broadcast this morning. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, it's going to be the Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals getting underway at 7 o'clock. We hope you can come out and join us. If you can't, there you see it, Fox Sports Ohio, 7 o'clock. Jeff Rimmer will be there. And you're doing radio or TV tonight?
I think I'm doing radio.
But he'll be with me in the first intermission.
Right, he will be with Jeff in the first intermission. He'll be with me the remainder of the game on the Blue Jackets radio network. So for Jody Shelley and Jeff Rimmer, we'll end it right there. For Jody Shelley and Jeff Rimmer, I'm Bob McElligott, and thanks for watching the Blue Jackets Morning Skate.